Welcome, Aquarius, to your in-depth weekly astrology overview and zodiac forecast for week commencing the 15th of June for the ascendant, the sun, or the moon. Going to share the big themes of the week ahead first and what a week it is. On screen is your event chart as we go into the week. Always important, I'll unpack that. I'll then go through each of the influences in detail. At the end of the video, you'll have a clear picture of what's upcoming in terms of your energy, work, relationships, or finances. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundel. A very warm welcome. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so now to help it to continue to thrive. But please also click or tap the bell notification symbol. We begin this week with a new moon in your fifth house, which can be very much to do with sharing and showcasing your charisma, your social interaction, and having fun. But also Uranus, the planet of surprises, and your modern ruler is in the sign of Gemini on a new moon for the first time in 77 years. That's really very important. Uranus also is interacting with the nodes in not an easy way. However, Venus moved at the end of last week and is forging some stunning influences this week, which are really exciting. Now, intriguingly, on Friday, we have Chiron, the so-called wounded healer, moving into the part of your chart to do with your emotions and anything to do with your family situation. How will that impact on you? And then as the week draws to a close, we have the summer solstice. Now, I know in the southern hemisphere it's the winter solstice, but Western tropical astrology is based on the seasons and also as a Mediterranean construct. So it is the summer solstice as far as astrology, and it ushers in cardinal quadrant 2, the next 13-week segment of the year, and the sun moving into the protective, nurturing sign of Cancer. But what will that mean for you personally, Aquarius? So on the screen now is your event chart. Now, it's intriguing. Whenever I look at a chart, the first thing I look at, I think, is quite important, and it is actually Venus. Now, Venus in Leo has a lot of confidence. It's also very socially attuned. It likes to dress well. It can like good company, but it's forging on Monday a dazzling link to Uranus, your modern ruler. And that's in that more playful fifth house. So there could be something that starts the week off giving you a real sense of excitement. But the new moon also occurs on Monday. Now, new moons in Gemini for you personally are great because the fifth house really resonates more with the sun's energy. It is about having the confidence to be attractive, to really be a bit more self-confident. The moon in the sign of Gemini can struggle a little bit because Gemini is a more mental energy, the moon's a more emotional one. But really, you get a chance to showcase your talents and flair. Why not go for it? They're forging a lovely link to Jupiter. If you get the details right and your enthusiasm's there, the chances are people can become much more aware of your unique presence. Talking of uniqueness, that comes from the energy of Uranus. So we know that's in a great link with Venus. It's in a very strong link with Pluto early in your zodiac sign. So that's all good. But it's the T-square to these two guys, the nodal axis. So since January 2025, you've been asked really to really get in touch with your inner instincts when it comes to what defines your values and what makes you feel secure around your foundations. And perhaps break away with from some things you have been a little bit attached to, maybe familiar people, maybe familiar routines. But Uranus moving into the fifth house is pure rock and roll. It's really about having the confidence to define yourself absolutely on your terms. So what Uranus might do is challenge the status quo that's gone on for at least the last year and nearly a year and a half. And that can be a bit unpredictable. And that goes on through to the 26th of July. So just be conscious of that. Also, at the start of this week, your other ruler, Saturn, which clashed bitterly with Mercury last week and may have created quite a lot of nervous tension. They're still in touch, but Mercury is edging away, ironically, because it has now gone into its pre-retrograde shadow. So just be aware that details still matter. Because Jupiter is in that sixth house, linking to the new moon, you might think, well, that's helpful. It is, but Jupiter doesn't really do details. So you need to be very precise in what you're doing for sure. However, Venus also then forges a link to Neptune. So your words and someone you're drawn to, it could actually be, and I really genuinely mean this, the very day I met my wife, the date we had, I think we had Neptune in Pisces and Venus was in Cancer, and they were in a trine at that exact moment. And it is helpful. I mean, if you meet someone you really like and the planets aren't great, it's not going to stop the relationship developing, but it can help. It creates the ambience, particularly with Neptune. And Venus in the seventh house, even though it is in the proud Leo, which can attract attention to you, the seventh house is also about finding harmony. So if you started chatting to someone who was playful, that fifth house energy, fun, amusing, attractive, but then also you did have that kind of simpatico, that's something to really be mindful of. So be conscious of that. Now, Venus then goes on to go face to face with Pluto. And if you are single and you're out and about, your energy is just really amped up by Venus opposite Pluto. Don't be surprised if you get people showing interest in you. I always get under videos when they mention relationships. I don't want a relationship. Why are you talking about them, Patrick? Why is Patrick talking like a Dalek? So I get it, but I have to talk for the people who are. But we all have a relationship with ourselves. So that's the important thing to understand, that your energy, your allure, whatever your status, is going to be turned up by the end of the week. But we also have on Friday the move of Chiron into the fourth house. Now, we've all been through bruising things in our lives, but if there are still some very tender things around your sense of emotional security over the next 3 months, and then from the 14th of April next year for 7 years, then you have a great opportunity to really work on this. Moreover, because of the sun moving into Cancer on Sunday, helps you to think in a practical way, but of course, Cancer is still a nurturing energy, a practical way about how you could think differently about your emotional worth. Taurus about worth, and the fourth house about emotion. So if there is something that isn't quite as healed or as sealed up and complete as you would like, a big window of opportunity. I'm going to summarize those 4 areas, Aquarius, of energy, work, relationships, and finances next. But just before I do, I've reduced the price of my personal horoscope reports. For many years, it was buy two, get 30% off. Because of the cost of living increases, I want to make the charts as available as possible. So it's now buy one, get three for the price of one. The one you pay for is your life roadmap report, which helps us to understand the patterns that play out in our lives, get a more intimate understanding of that energy, which means we make better decisions future forwards. Free, your 12 months transit forecast, and also your draconic soul karmic analysis. Please see below for more. If you've yet to watch your Gemini new moon video, please check that out. If you've yet to check your Chiron 50-year return video, please check that out. If you'd like to work with me one-to-one, it'd be a pleasure. Please see my testimonials below. And if you've yet to take advantage of my free daily written horoscope, fire to your device each morning for your early day celestial pit stop, please see that below too as well. So energy. I think energy can be affected by Mercury in that square with Saturn. I think I recall explaining this last week. So if you have felt a bit stressed out over the last week, it wouldn't be a surprise. I'll be completely truthful with you. I've had a series of really bad migraines. And I think that Mercury square Saturn certainly won't have helped them. However, in terms of bringing a kind of sparkle into your situation and looking at things in a brighter and lighter way, the new moon definitely helps. but what about your professional prospects? I've been saying this for some while. If you can be creative and also expressive in what you're doing, whether you work for a big organization or for yourself, it's all systems go. But equally, that poses the question if that's not the case. And with the sun moving at the end of the week into your sector of work and obligations, that could give you food for thought. When it comes to your financial situation, I think Uranus T-square in the nodes suggests don't be too free and easy with resources, and definitely don't make very quick decisions without considering the consequences. As far as relationships are concerned, however, there's lots of prospects for this week, even for the people who don't want them. And, just to get on better with people. Wouldn't the world be a better place if we all respected each other a little bit more? And we're acknowledging and kind and just receptive to other people's situations. So we've all got a chance to use that Venusian energy in a lovely way this week, whatever our circumstances. It's been a pleasure being with you. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great week. All the best. And sorry about the Daleks.